many butterflies do you have in your garden? Good morning. I'm Joyce Riney, and I'm here with my fellow master gardener, Kathy Schmidt, and we want to talk to you about our new garden that we have put in place here at the Extension Office on the Owensboro Community College campus. And our new garden is called
the Yellow Banks Monarch Waystation.
We want to invite you to come out to see our garden. It's looking at its height right now, but we also want to talk to you about monarch feeding stations or butterfly feeding stations and way stations. So Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about what a way station is?
A way station is an area that gives shelter, water, and nectar or food for butterflies. And ours particularly is for monarchs, which are dwindling because of industrialization, lots of building, loss of habitat. This morning our butterflies are sleeping. They'll be out a little bit later when it gets warmer, but we don't tolerate the heat like they do, so we've come out early.
And what are some of the steps that you have gone through in order to change this garden from just being an ordinary garden to a monarch way station?
Our garden had beautiful flowers, but it was completely overgrown last year and very difficult to tend. So last fall, 5 of us took everything out. We killed all the weeds that had grown. We moved the bulbs. We transplanted many things into our former vegetable garden so that we could pick and choose. And then in the spring, we laid it out. We put stepping stones in to make it something that people could really get close and view. We added a water feature, and then we chose pollinator plants both for monarch butterflies and all pollinators, which include bees and butterflies and wasps and many others, and hummingbirds also.
I know you talked about the butterfly population having more difficulty because of industrialization. And I know that when people have traveled on the highways, they've noticed that so much of the habitat along the way has been mowed or it's been kind of decimated in a way for the butterflies. And every once in a while you'll travel to a state where they have included plantings for wildflowers and so on to help with that habitat. But while we can't do anything to control some of that, we can control our own little environments and try to create a new area for butterflies. And that's what we have done here. Could you talk a little bit about your favorite things in this garden?
It's really hard to choose because all of them are so wonderful. The zinnias are just a magnet for all butterflies, but I like a flower called Mexican sunflower or Tithonia because it's it starts midsummer and blooms till frost, and the monarchs love it. One day I saw 6 monarchs on one plant. Mm-hmm. How about you? What's your favorite?
Well, my favorite is the ones right here behind me, and it is a beautiful color. It is a butterfly bush. All my butterfly bushes at home are a deep purple, and so I love this one. But it's hard to say because sometimes when you go by and you smell one and you smell that licorice on that hyssop and it just smells so good, it's hard to make up your mind, but this is so colorful. Most of us have some kind of flower gardens or have flowers at home, but if you want to move from just having a flower bed to having a way station like we did in this garden, what do you suggest that people do to make those small steps toward becoming someone who is really helping out the butterfly population?
Well, the first thing I think is to stop using pesticides because that's going to kill the butterflies. So try and do good weed control with mulching. If you're interested in a pollinator garden, you can go to the Monarch Way Station website and it will give you a list of flowers that would be great for monarchs and butterflies. But planting flowers that start blooming in the spring and some that will bloom into late fall so that the butterflies and pollinators have food source throughout the season.
I noticed on the website they give you 3 categories for waystations. One is the milkweed, which is absolutely necessary, and we'll talk about that. But it also lists annuals and then perennials. And some of us may have more perennials or more annuals, so if we wanted to incorporate other flowers to make sure we're constantly feeding the butterflies throughout the season, that website has a list of all the annuals that they encourage you to plant, and also all the perennials and the types of milkweed that are for the Kentucky area. And can you tell us a little bit more about the milkweed?
The most liked by the monarch is the common milkweed that we used to see in fields, where the monarchs lay their eggs on the underside of the milkweed, and then as the caterpillars enlarge, they eat the milkweed, but the butterflies also need a nectar source. There are 3 common ones: swamp milkweed, and unfortunately ours didn't make it this spring. The common milkweed, which is a little bit invasive, so you want to put it in an area where you can control the growth, and of course it needs full sun.
Maybe something along a wall or a fenced area, or
at
the back of your...
the back. What I've done is just pull out extra plants, because you don't need 24 plants unless you plan to have lots and lots of space.
I noticed on the website it talks a lot in there about the milkweed, and it lists one type of milkweed I wasn't familiar with, and that was the poke milkweed. And I haven't seen that one on sale here anywhere.
No, and I think that may also be called green milkweed, which is native to Kentucky, but I've never seen it here either, and we could probably order it from a special plant nursery.
I know there is a certification process that you go through, and if you wanted to have your garden marked as a Monarch Waystation, and that certification process is not too complicated. I know you recently have done that for your garden, have you not?
Yes, I've just been certified. You can do this online or request a paper form, and it asks you first about the size of your garden, and it can be very small, as small as this square or even smaller, as long as you have the correct plants. And it asks in each category, you don't need to have 10 different kinds, as long as you have one of each category, or some bushes that may be pollinators, that's acceptable. You need to have a water source, and that's really all.
That and the milkweed. I think the milkweed is the key factor.
Is number 1.
Because I looked at it myself for my own garden, and I knew I was lacking in that area, so I want to try to do something about that. And we want to encourage anybody who is interested in butterflies maybe to take a look at that site. And if you don't want to apply for certification, you might at least want to change up some of the plants and make sure that you're constantly feeding those butterflies.
One of the best things to do is get native plants that grow here, not all the tropicals or some of the plants that come from different parts of the world.
We'd like you to come by and see our garden here near the building of the Davis County Cooperative Extension, and just walk through and take a look at everything. It looks gorgeous right now. And that way you can kind of see the names of the plants that we've planted. Everything is marked. And we'd like to encourage everyone to try to help with the butterfly population, whether it's on a small scale or on a large scale with a waystation.